Okay, good afternoon. This is Debbie Davis. It's April 26th, 2026. Okay, so I haven't done a video for a few days. I didn't have good internet. I have internet now, so that was one reason. But I want to touch on a few things because of the disappearance and murders of certain scientists that have been happening, under, I guess, the last couple weeks now. So I want to touch on that before people forget about it and things like that, because I have a personal situation regarding this whole story that I need to share with people. Okay, because so for those of you people who don't know, I'm also the CEO of a company called Miracule Water. And I was in a relationship with this guy years ago named Ron Talmadge. And he was killed in 2007. And then we were in a relationship. And then I was working with him for a couple of years. So I ended up taking over the company after his death. So that's kind of what happened there. And it's, I've talked about, I've been at the Conscious Life Expo selling the product and sold it online for years. Right now I'm just, since I was moving and everything, I'm in a situation, you have to understand, as a whistleblower, they've gone after so many different areas of my life, and they've gone after my business too. So that's kind of what's happening there. But he was the original inventor. He was an inventor and a scientist. And I just want to tell this story because what people don't know, not only was an inventor and a scientist, and this is one of the best water systems on the market. I mean, because we have better filters than anybody. He put better filtration, but it concentrates the trace minerals, because we have magnetic technology on the inside, and it creates like a magnetic vortex, and it concentrates the trace minerals. They're called monoatomic elements. With magnets, you can attract something called monoatomic elements, and they're like the life force of the water. And then the final stage, he was one of the first ones who started using like an alkalizing agent to rebalance the pH years ago, and we were one of the first ones to use magnesium instead of a form of calcium, because magnesium doesn't build up in your body, but calcium will. So they're different. You have to be super careful what kind of calcium you take, because some of them can build up in your body. Okay, so he was, this was his design, not mine, and I just continued his work. And it started out with him learning about Ormus from David Hudson. And then he created an Ormus trap with a magnetic, and then he found out, I think David Hudson is the one who told him, you got to be careful because you can also trap some heavy metals. And so then he created a water system around that. And then that was led to the whole invention. But the Ormus can help with pain. Ormus water can help with pain, and he had a prior injury from a motorcycle accident. And so his original intention was to help with pain, and it did, and it does. Okay, so anyway, I want to tell this story because a lot of people I knew him personally, and I knew kind of what happened here with his death, and I mean, as far as like a little bit, because I didn't understand the whole story, but he was in the Air Force, prior to him becoming an inventor and this CEO of this company, and he worked on his MOS in the Air Force was Space Systems Operations. So that's a real MOS in the Air Force. And but what he told me is that he also ended up working on some top secret stuff that he couldn't talk about. Okay, so that's part of the story, his story, that nobody knows about. Only I know about him because I was in a relationship with him. And I have some of the videos, his videos, Ron's CEO, talking on my channel. And people were wondering why I have it on my channel. Well, that's because I'm the CEO of that company now. And I wanted I have some of his videos uploaded that they had taken down years ago. Um, some of his work and stuff. So that's why I have some of his on my channel. Okay, so some of his speeches. Okay, so then, before his death, he was killed at age 43 in Denver. Okay, and he was okay. So now you see that these scientists and stuff disappearing. Okay, now it makes me wonder. Maybe they thought he knew too much, because he told me he worked on some top secret stuff in the Air Force as well that he couldn't talk about, and that part I never knew. I never knew because he couldn't talk about it. Okay, so I wanted people to know that part of the story. And the only thing I know as far as his situation in Denver is that he was told that he was supposed to go on that he was offered money to go on some kind of scientific project out there. Okay, he was a scientist. He was an inventor and a scientist. Okay, and maybe it had something to do with something he was involved in the Air Force. Like I said, I don't know. Maybe they were having him do something. And as far as I know, it was a group, and the only thing we know is that, and the only thing what happened is that some guy that was in the scientific project with him, named Robert, disappeared, and he didn't know anything about it. But apparently the police went to go question him. Maybe they were questioning everybody. I don't know, because the police never told myself or his mother the full story. Okay, as far as nobody's been told the full story of what happened here. They never released the SWAT footage, to myself or his mother. The whole thing is very mysterious. Okay, so since all this is happening with other scientists, I thought it was about time I told the story. So, apparently they were just going to question him, and they said that he pulled a weapon. And then they called a whole SWAT team. It's just like, I'm sorry, you don't involve an entire SWAT team just to question somebody, involving and he didn't know anything about the disappearance of this person. Okay, because I talked to somebody that was friends with him right there in Denver, when this whole thing was going down. And so, we still, to this day, the footage has never been released, what happened there by the SWAT in Denver. And and then on top of it, all of his belongings were never returned, like to his mother or myself or anything. I wasn't married to him. I was just in a relationship with him. But they kept everything. And then they kept saying, like, for years when I would try to inquire, they would kept saying it's still under investigation. Okay, so this seems to be the common thing that I'm noticing. The common thing that the police like to say. It's a pattern. It's like they keep saying, anytime there's any kind of a controversial type story. Okay, this is what I'm noticing now, that this is like the favorite thing the police like to say, is that it's still under investigation, so they can't release any information. And so, then it goes on for years, and nothing ever gets released. And it's a pattern that seems to be a disturbing pattern, where you never hear anything for years, and they expect you to just forget about it. And that's what happened here. Okay, and the reason why I'm bringing it up is because that's where David Wilcock was, that's where he was found dead, is in the Colorado area, the Boulder area, apparently a city named Nederland. Okay, I watched his videos every once in a while, and I also watched him on a History Channel. I thought he was brilliant, but there's a whole nother part that I want to talk about with his story too. But as far as I know, he was not, he mentioned in his videos that he was not suicidal. Okay, and then they tried to say, the police tried to say in the report that I saw, that they responded to a mental health call. Okay, yeah, that doesn't sound like it adds up to myself, or when you're clearly your friends are disappearing, and then all of a sudden you end up dead. It just, it doesn't add up. what they're saying, this was the same state that my ex was killed. Okay, and who was also a scientist. Okay, so yeah, but David Wilcock. So I used to watch him on History Channel and everything, and then he kind of disappeared for a few years, and then he reappeared and started his own channel. I guess, and I watched it, and I would follow him every once in a while, and uh, he I mean, I think he was part of the disclosure part of some things that have been trying to going on in the UFO community. And I've talked about how I've gone to Minnesota MUFON for a few years. It's mostly just like, there's some interesting speakers, but it was also at one time more of just like a social thing too, because there was a group of us that would all go out to eat afterwards, and and at the time it was like Minnesota was like one of the main state that had the MUFON, and so there was people from like Iowa and a couple different states that would come, and it was once a month thing. I've just had a lot of weird experiences my whole life, so I've been attracted to those type of things, and I met some interesting people, and that's really, I mean, it wasn't like I'm like a huge UFO person or anything. It wasn't anything like that. I just have had unusual experiences my whole life, and it wasn't just UFO type things, it was some paranormal type things, and different types of speakers, and some of them were interesting and some of them weren't, but but anyway, I one thing so when he first started coming out on his channel and said, he had kind of disappeared, he said, well, look, I've had a profound experience. I know I disappeared for a couple of years, but I had a profound experience that involved Archangel Michael. Okay, Archangel Michael apparently revealed some things to him that had happened to him when he was younger. And it was like a really personal story. And it was like, this isn't something that somebody's going to make up and just be like, because it's like kind of embarrassing and kind of, profound, and it's just, and he had talked about how when he was younger he had been abducted, and that's kind of what triggered his whole interest in the whole UFO subject to begin with, is because he had these memories that started like, he started having these memories that he would remember every once in a while, but it was suppressed when he was younger. But then he found, he would find these drawings that he did as a child of these alien type looking things. And he shared that on his channel. And he didn't know why he had drawn these, because he didn't actually remember. And it turned out, so he said that it turned out that he lived right across from GE in California. Okay, and he said that he doesn't think his family was involved at all. He thinks he was being abducted without anybody's consent or anything, and somehow, brought somewhere. Okay, I'm not saying these companies are involved, but he said he lived right across from GE. I don't know, was there something going on there? I don't know, but he has memories of, like, as a child of, being away in the night and then brought back, and like nobody knew what had happened exactly, his parents or anything. But then he, started having these memories later of different snippets of things, and then found these drawings as a child, and these things started questioning, of course, what in the world is going on here? What happened to me? And so he shared that story, and I ended up, I was blown away by that. And then I had just met this lady at Minnesota MUFON named Dana Louise, and she had a similar story. So then I tell her about his story, and I said, oh my gosh, you have to listen to this clip of what he said. It sounds like, I said, it sounds like your story. And she said, oh my gosh, it does. Thank you so much for sharing this. So I had met this really cool lady at one of the Minnesota MUFON meetings named Dana Louise. She was from St. Paul. Okay, and she had a similar story. Okay, she has memories of aliens and things when she was younger. Apparently, her father worked for UNIVAC in Minnesota here. I don't, Minnesota there, I'm not there anymore. And so, uh, you know, I don't know, she said for years she suppressed it, but then she started um, remembering. Okay. And then she wrote a book and she was trying to not talk about it for years. Okay. So this is her book. It's called, it's, this is going to sound weird. Okay. And, oh, before I forget, the, Ron's story, was in 2000, August 7th, 2007. Man killed by cops during murder investigation. Talmadge was killed Saturday night outside a Super 8 motel. And they said he pulled a weapon on SWAT. Okay, according to the sheriff's office. Okay, that's it. It was in the Denver Post. Okay, I don't know. This is what they do to my. I don't know what they do, but you can't see it. It was August 7th, 2007. Okay. Yeah, and so, and then, nothing was ever investigated. It's just, this is what has gone on. This is why I find it very hard to trust the police or the sheriffs. Okay. My harassment as a whistleblower has for years has involved the police and the sheriffs. Okay. Including here. And, okay. Okay. So this is her, this is going to sound weird. Okay, now Dana is dead now as well. Okay, I don't know how old she was exactly, but apparently Minnesota MUFON put out on Facebook that she's passed away. Okay, and they didn't say anything about what happened or anything. Okay, because all of a sudden her and I were getting together. We were becoming friends. We hadn't gotten together and talked about, different situations that we have had, weird situations, and we were becoming friends, and then she disappeared, and it was also weird. It was like she would text me and I wouldn't hear the ping, and I would text her, she wouldn't hear it ping. Like, we had a really hard time communicating, like somebody didn't want us to talk. Okay. Okay, so anyway, basically, if you want to check her book out, I think it'd be worth a read. I haven't actually read it yet, but she told me a little bit about it. Okay, but it's basically, it's on Amazon. Okay, please know that 10 months after publishing this, a mysterious man handed me a classified file about my father that began in 1960. In it, I learned that my dad had been working with NASA. This man had claimed to have found a file behind a desk drawer. He said he wished he knew my father and had worked with him. I thought how is that? I thought he found the file. This was a clear confirmation that there are agents out there that want the truth to be exposed. This is that book. Coming out of the cosmic closet isn't easy. Have you ever prefaced a conversation with, "This is going to sound weird"? Did a strange event awaken your curiosity, but left you questioning things you thought you knew? After all, seeing is believing. Did you feel hesitant to share your experience? Like, did that just happen? If something weird or unexplainable has happened to you, then this is your guide. If you're curious about what's really going on around here, then you're in the right place. Okay, then it goes on. Masquerading as a simple suburbanite, because she was married and she had 2 kids, and just lived in suburban Minnesota, seemed easier than exposing my experiences. Gray aliens? Yes, I tried to forget about them, but witness kept reminding me of the miracles and magic in my life. As I learned for answers, more questions popped up. People urged me to share my stories, but I stayed quiet until now. Now it's time to kick the doors open. Are you searching for a comprehensive collection of real-life encounters with weird beings from a normal person, like a mom from next door? Maybe you're new to the paranormal genre and have fallen down way too many rabbit holes. it can be confusing, but if you want to truly have your mind blown on a soul level and regain your divinity while you're at it, then this book is for you. Sci-fi fans, you're going to love this. You've suspected the Marvel Universe is more fact than fiction, and you're right. It's been disclosure. It's been disclosure all along. What does Star Wars have to do with reality? Plenty. How about X-Files? My name is Dana, after all. There was the main female character in those X-Files was Dana, and I love those X-Files. Like her, I've encountered multiple alien species, ghosts, aliens, angels, a crystal skull, a shadow hat man, vortexes, the white hats, the list goes on and on. This reveals what's behind the Matrix veil, along with transformational, at times funny and provocative true stories of my encounters. A great awakening is upon us. Spiritual warfare is all around us. Can you feel it? Yes, I can. Open your mind and transform your world, our world, and as we journey through the unexplained mysteries of our beautiful universe. I hope to inspire and ignite your soul. You are a superhero. They just don't want you to know it. The truth will set you free. Together we can break free from the Matrix. Okay, so these are, and then there's just different testimonies underneath and stuff. But yeah, I mean, she was a speaker at the Minnesota MUFON one time, and then a couple other radio shows, and then she disappeared. Okay, so this is what happened to her now, and yeah, and I've been in danger for years. So I mean, of course I'm in danger still, and this has gone on for me for 13 years now as a whistleblower. Okay, and and then if you haven't seen the last couple videos I've done, I mean, my situation has gone on for years, and then now what's going on here is we have a situation that has gone on for years with basically a town bully named Rodney Hoffman, and it's similar to the movie Roadhouse. I just watched the movie Roadhouse with Patrick Swayze. If you haven't seen that, I mean, it's literally like a similar situation where he thinks he owns the town. Okay, and if he doesn't like you, then he'll bully you. And it seems like the sheriffs and everything are all in his corner, and police and everything. Okay, so, and like I said, a lot of my harassment has actually involved the police and the sheriffs. They haven't been the person that I can call. They're the person involved in the harassment. Okay, and so this is the problem. Okay, but yeah, and I bought this house from a personal friend, from a family auction. I'm sorry, I didn't get the memo. You know what I mean? Like, oh, was I supposed to get a memo that Rodney Hoffman owns the town, and that if he doesn't like you, you're gonna get bullied out of there? It's just like, this is an unincorporated city. It's like a really small population, and he literally thinks he owns the town, and he bullies people who he doesn't like, and several of them have had to move away because of it. And it's gone on for years, and the authorities don't do anything. Okay, so that's the situation that I'm in. I had a couple of videos. All I did was try to pull the car out, my second car, and that all I wanted to do was pull it out and then bring it around, and I park it on the other side but that particular side of and he blocked me. He blocked me because that particular part of the is his property or whatever. There's like a line shortly after that begins his property. He owns the house across, and then a couple other properties in town, and so he just decides that he's not going to let me bring the car out because that's the way he is. It's not like I was planning on parking my car on his property. I just wanted to get it out. Okay, and that's what he does, and that's what he's done to other people. He's committed multiple crimes in this town, felonies, and it's gone on for years. We have sworn statements and things like that. I have verbal statements, from people that this things that have happened in the past. But as you can see, you could clearly see what he did to me recently, so I don't have to make it up or say anything that's not true. You can clearly see in my video what he did, you know. There was no reason to do that. It wasn't like I was trying to park on his property or trying to, all I wanted to do was get my car out and pull it around. Okay. And he had gone on my property and actually screwed in that side of the door. And so that is called trespassing. So, because I tried to open the door, it's a sliding door, and he had screwed it shut. So then I had to go and take the screws out, and then I was like, okay, let's see if I can just get it out. And I was just going to pull it around. That's all. And he like went psycho. He went psycho because he thought I was going to pull onto his side of the property. Nobody's using, it's just flat land. It's flat land, and nobody's using it. So it's not like anybody's doing anything wrong or illegal. Okay, so this is what we're dealing with here, and it's very disturbing. And, you know, for me, this stuff has gone on for years, and I'm really tired of it. And so this is my video for today. Okay. And, you know, clearly we have a lot of stuff that needs to be cleaned up in this country. And it's, you know, it's about time that it gets done, you know.